welcome to another piano video. I guess it's that time. Started my practice, but now it's time to teach you a little bit more. And we're going to pick up right where we left off last time in our series about musical notation. So I hope, yeah, you can see the keyboard. This is great. I found a way that I don't have to adjust the keyboard or the camera, but you can still see me. Alright, so here comes our board again. I've wiped it clean of all the other notes. And you know, it's Saturday. My goal is to make something every day. But you're probably like me, you like to take Saturday off or do, you know, take a break. So I'm going to give you a break. Every Saturday my video is just going to be a bit of a short review session. Kind of pick up what we've learned. And, you know, try to keep this under 10 minutes. So the main thing is we have introduced musical notation, and last time, actually the previous two videos, we looked at how we would translate that to the keys on the piano. So we saw that this upper part is the upper half of the piano, so the right half. This lower set of 5 lines is the lower part of the piano. Now, I didn't introduce it before because I just want to get this image in your head. There's another symbol that it's a little complicated. It's hard to draw, so that's why I didn't want to overwhelm you at first. But technically there is nothing. The orientation is generally this upper one is this upper part of the piano, and the lower is the bottom. But to be sure, there are ways that sometimes these can both refer to an upper part of the piano if it was a symphonic work. So there is a symbol that tells us for sure that we are dealing with this neighborhood from middle C to the right when we're up here, and it's called the treble clef. It goes like this. It's a little curl, and then you've got another curl, and then down and another curl. Like, you know, you could take this is kind of like learning a new language. You could like just draw this out repeatedly. It's quite a symbol. You know, we could spend some more time on that another lesson. We're going to draw these a lot, so I'm not really worried right now about your ability to draw this. I mean, you can always just pause this video and copy. So this is called the bass clef, and this is called the treble clef. Okay, so clef, just think of it as, you could almost think of this as, when you say clef, it's like a neighborhood. And so this treble clef is telling you for sure that this is the upper right part of the piano. It hovers in this neighborhood here. One thing that visually you'll start to recognize, for me anyway, I find that I just remember what the middle line is for the given clef. So for example, we're on middle C, so we saw that these lines here, we went up to E, G, B, D, F. That was the 5 lines. So the middle one is B. So you could think of the treble clef as localizing your piano to the notes that hover around this B. So the 2 lines below are E, or G and E. So E, G, E. And then the 2 lines above are D and F. Okay? It's a treble clef. And then the bass clef is basically down here. And the middle line here is a D. Okay? And we saw that because we know that this line here, by the way, called a ledger line. I looked that up, so I knew it had a name. I just forgot. But yeah, it's called a ledger line, right? So we saw the idea that if you chop the piano in half, right, that'd be the same as middle C. So that mental chopping of the piano, you imagine chopping this. But in practice, it's usually written equidistant, either below the this top line, so where the treble clef would be, and then or above this line. And these are actually the exact same note. So if you drew additional ledger lines, say from above, you'd actually start encroaching on this space. And that happens sometimes because you'll play a piece where your, say, right hand is maybe hovering a bit lower, and your left hand is maybe even further down. So that it'll make sense to do that. But this line here is middle C. So the bottom in this bass clef, well, middle C, we go down. So the first line here at the top is A, then we go F, then we have D. So just like the treble clef's, like home base, if you will, is this B, right? The 2 lines below, 2 lines above. The bass clef's home base is D, the D below middle C. And the 2 lines above, F and A, the two lines below are B and G. So F and A, and then two lines below are B and G. So when we're writing music, I mean, you should always indicate this, but it is pretty common. It's more rare to see music where you would have, say, just a treble clef and a treble clef. But if you saw that, it's important just that you can't just assume that this is always going to be the top with the right hand, bottom with the left. However, like 90% of the time, like most of the piece you're going to learn, it's going to be split that way. So you can mentally just kind of start imagining that. And it's important in the beginning not to, like, that's why I didn't jump in with this right away, because I would have to spend some time explaining this. But now you've already sort of been absorbing this idea of seeing a map with the right half from here up and the left hand from here down. So now we can get a little more formal with the symbols, okay? So, so the thing to note is, what we did last time, I mean, I'm going to eventually get into we went up the circle of fifths to G major. And I said we could go up to D major. So 5 more notes. And we could see, we know that scale had an F sharp and a C sharp. Okay? So we could figure out what that looks like on here, and so we saw, like, with the sharp had a symbol that looks just like a number sign, and so it's like we've got these 4 lines where they in the middle where they crosshatch. That's kind of going to hover over whatever the note is. So for example, the very first sharp we add when we go up the circle of fifths is F sharp, right? So when we look at the lines, well, okay, this treble clef here, it centers on B, so the 2 notes up, right, D, F. So that, if we want to write in an F sharp, we're going to go on the top line. So notice that this crosshatch, the way it's drawn, the 2 lines go here, and then the 2 horizontal lines are above and below, so they kind of enclose this line, okay? So why is this important? Well, let's just say we did go up the circle of fifths to D major, and we want to indicate which sharps are in that key signature. So when we're reading the notes, what is the key signature is always written right at the start. So you write the clef in, and then you will write the key signature. Well, we have a second. So it's a C sharp. Now, if we look at these lines and spaces here, well, we've got B as home base. Okay, so that is, right away is enough, because we know that C comes after B in the alphabet. So there we go. So C is going to be the space right above this middle line. Okay, so when we're indicating that, we're going to draw our number sign, and we're going to put the 2 horizontal lines of the crosshatch right so that it's in the space. So we have F sharp, we have C sharp. What this tells you now is everything you write. So let's just take the notes of a D scale. So D, right? And now this comes with practice. You might wonder how I know that just off the top of my head, but you know, if you're trying to figure out where's a D, well, okay, here's B, that's home base for the treble clef. We know the 2 lines up, there's a D, okay, but I don't want to start up here on this line and go all the way up, because I'd have to, like, add ledger lines for all the extra notes, right? And so you could do it, but it's more practical to keep things kind of hovering. You want to use up these lines. You don't want to, these ledger lines, I mean, they're fittingly named. Think about like an account ledger. So you just went in overdraft, or you went, you know, you have a debt or a balance to carry. That's kind of what they're like. It's like, oops, we had to kind of go above, but that's okay for now. We'll get back normal. Generally, this is like your account sitting in the black. You know, like you're not in debt. You don't have to keep track of everything. So we do like to hover here. So if this is the D, well, where's the next one? Well, it's down here. And that'll let me cover all these lines, because I have B, I have G, and E. So that's these 2 lines. Well, I know that D is the letter that comes before E in the alphabet, right? So it's really this space right below this line. And what's nice there is now if I go up tone by tone, right? So just going up up the notes, that the white keys themselves. I'll tell you in a sec why I called that tone. I just basically go space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line. a total of 8 notes, right? Because there are 7. And then the 8th note is that D, that upper D you arrive on. So there is a D major scale written out, and these, the F sharp and C sharp in this signature tells you that everywhere you hit an F, instead it should be F sharp. Everywhere you hit a C, so this here, this space above, below the D is C, it should be a C sharp. So these notes represent tone by tone what you're playing. So the tones, a tone is a note of a scale, okay? So we go up. These are the tones of the scale. Now the semitones is what you would call it if you go literally to every next adjacent key. And that's basically going to walk up black keys, white keys. And that will look special in here. In fact, that's probably something we can do later on for fun once we've seen all the key signatures and the keys. All right, so we're at 11 minutes, and like I said, it's Saturday. I want to keep this short. I wanted to give you a review, and this is actually a perfect time to introduce the treble clef and the bass clef. And as promised last time, we did look at D major, so you can check this with your work. If you want to get ahead of me for next time, let's just keep going up, right? So the next, up the circle of fifths, the next 5 notes up is A. So the A scale, which has 3 sharps, this G sharp, what would you write for that, right? So we'll do that. And in fact, we'll probably be able to go faster. We can cover a few keys because a pattern starts to emerge here, and you start to see it come together. We're going to save that for next time. So back I go to some practice, and then I will just be enjoying the rest of my day. It's a beautiful day. Got some weather before it gets cold. So I hope that you have a great day. Practice this a little, have fun, and until next time, yeah, we'll see. I guess, well, I'm trying to come up with a clever end line and I can't find it yet. So anyway, keep practicing.